Welcome back to our video series on a verse-by-verse study of the book of Ephesians. We're studying currently the portion of Ephesians, the last 3 chapters that deal with our Christian walk. And we're currently in verses 7 and 8 in chapter 5. Last 4 verses talked about what Paul, the Apostle Paul, the author, did not want us to do, who we are not to be. He talked about the qualities of the previous life as a non-Christian of the Ephesians. And he says in verse 7, don't act like this anymore. He said that back then, before you were a Christian, you were often part of darkness, but now you're part of the light. So Scripture often uses light and dark as qualities of non-Christian versus or Christian ways. The light, in a sense, indicates a moral flashlight that illuminates the path ahead of us. So we see things that would trip us up and cause us to sin and cause bad results in our life, whether in marriage or professional life, at church, and it helps us to avoid these. What an advantage Scripture is. So then in verse 8, he tells us then to walk as people not in the darkness, but as the light. The word here in Greek for walk is peripateo, meaning literally walk around. It means your quality of life, particularly in Scripture, in the moral realm. So we are to live a life that is consistent with a person that's living in the light. Interestingly, we can only do this as people because when we come to faith and trust in Christ for our salvation, the Spirit regenerates us into a new person. So not a person that was purely sin as our old person, but that person is killed off and a new person resurrected as Christ was to a new person who has the ability to walk in such a way that God would want. And we have the Spirit who empowers us to walk this way. So it is only by God's grace that we're saved, and only by God's grace that we can live a life as a Christian as He would want. Thanks for joining me today in this amazing chapter. More goodies are coming up, starting in verse 9 next time. Join me then.